The Asian selection, which is quite substantial in number, felt rather familiar to me, and that's my gentle criticism. This is To the Point, your briefing on Asia's entertainment. I'm Frater.
I'm Janine Stein. And we have two big pieces of film news today. First is both from Patrick. First is the Cannes Film Competition selection, and the second is the Far East Film Festival in Udine, which, Patrick, you're on your way there, so tell us about it.
Yes, I'll be going to Udine in about 2 weeks' time, and hopefully staying for the whole thing, which is always a treat because it's such a lovely and strange place to have such a very important small-scale Asian film festival. It's been running for about 30 years, and we will have the president of the festival, Sabrina Barracetti, with us on a forthcoming podcast. So she will be able to give us lots of detail. But it's pioneered, and this is what's so interesting. It's not just been picking the art house films that most film festivals would pick from Asia. In fact, they've kind of eschewed that and went in the opposite direction. Their ambition was to show the films that people are watching in Asian cinemas to Italian and European audiences. So mainstream Japanese, commercial Chinese films, films which wouldn't obviously be selected, but coming from Malaysia and Indonesia and the Philippines. And they've been doing this for, as I say, nearly 30 years. And I know they've had some ups and downs, which Sabrina will tell us about, because I don't think it was immediately obvious to audiences in Italy or the local government, which finances a large portion of the budget for the festival, that this was going to be a success. Well, those questions are now way behind us. The festival is a raging success, and they get all the big stars coming there, and they've built it out not just in terms of festival by adding on screenings and more films, but they've also added on an industry component, which is now an incubator for film projects and so on. And I was there last year, luckily enough, and I remember talking to somebody who said, if your business is Asia, you don't need to go to Cannes. Just come to Udine instead. So that's what I'll be heading to in a couple of weeks' time. And your cue was to announce that for me to say that they announced the lineup this week, which they did. And they have lots of cool and interesting things, many of which I haven't seen because Asian films don't necessarily all travel very well within the region. So I've seen some, but there's an awful lot I haven't seen. So I'm looking forward to catching up on those. And they have Fan Bingbing, a big Chinese superstar, really, currently banned in China from working in China, it seems. But she's working outside. She'll be there with her latest film called Mother Boomy. And we'll have Yunwo Ping, who is this rather ancient but extremely well regarded martial arts and action coordinator who's done every film you can think of, from The Matrix and Kill Bill through to Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and various other leading Asian films. So he will be there getting a Lifetime Achievement Award. And on the last night, they will show his recent film, which he made as a director, which was one of the ones that we spoke about at Chinese New Year.
Are you expecting any surprises out of Udine before we talk about Cannes?
No, not really. It's not built for surprises like that because it's not necessarily a festival of world premieres. It's a festival designed very much for the local public. And but because it's so small, you end up having very good and ongoing conversations with people over a period of days. And that, I think, is one of the real joys of a small film festival, which is completely alien to Cannes or Busan or something like that, where the best you can get is a 5 minute conversation with somebody over a drink, and then everyone's rushing in different directions. This is completely the opposite. This is quality, not quantity.
Cannes announced their competition selection this week. What did you think?
Cannes announced what they call the official selection. This is the main body of the festival. And then in the next few days, there will be further announcements of selections from two parallel sections. In fact, three parallel sections these days. But this is the most prestigious stuff that got announced earlier this week. The main competition, The Uncertain Regard, and Cannes premieres and some gala screenings as well. So that's what was announced yesterday. Um, it seems to be a year when the Hollywood studios are almost entirely absent, which means it's very long on auteur and art house films, which is, I guess, what Cannes is all about, really. And some of those Hollywood spectacles may be playing around the outside, or at least, and certainly the studios will be there in terms of business, but they're not there showing their films in prestige slots in the festival, which actually leaves room for other titles and other works. And the festival selection in general seemed very innovative and very creative this year. Um, the big caveat is that the Asian selection, which is quite substantial in number, felt rather familiar to me, and that's my gentle criticism. This year we have what they announced yesterday was that they announced 5 different Japanese films in official selection, 2 big-time Korean films, one in competition, one out, and a Nepalese-European co-production. Um, so Japan is very, very strong, it seems. Korea is back, at least arguably, in at the top of the game, top of its game, um, with a film by Na Hong-jin, who's a darling, but doesn't of the international scene, but doesn't do many films. I mean, I think he's done 4 films in 10 years now, so he's not exactly prolific. He's got a new film which is a action chase suspense, something we don't know, we haven't seen it, but it's going to be blending genre elements, so that's definitely to look forward to. And we have the director of Train to Busan film and series, who's also got a film in one of the outside gala slots. I think it's the midnight screening section. That may be wrong. It could be the Cannes premiere section. One of the 2 sidebar sections within the official selection. So they're recognizing that Korea's strength still is one of Korea's great strengths is its ability to put on very substantial action movies on a fraction of American budgets. So that's a good thing to be reminded of when we've all been talking the Korean cinema industry into the ground for the last 2 or 3 years.
Sure, I have a Korean film story of my own, but before I ask you what you think, there were some notable omissions from the competition this year.
Well, there were and there weren't. I mean, it's always difficult. I mean, I was talking to a producer friend of mine who was really very hopeful that his um, East Asian film, and I'm not going to identify it more than that, was going to be in competition, and he got the message no the night before from the selectors, which was disappointing to him. But when he saw the lineup with 4 Asian films in competition, that's 3 Japanese and 1 Korean in competition, he kind of understood what was happening. The festival can't overload itself on one region. Um, so, that was a kind of an understandable disappointment. But going back to my criticism, is that of the selection of the 5 Japanese selected, 4 are old standards, and uh, it seems a little unnecessary to put them back into competition again and again. I mean, I used to joke that 4 of the most established Japanese filmmakers all had their surname beginning with the letter K. Kurosawa, Koreeda, Kitano, and Kawase. And you've got 2 of them being selected this time. So it's like that's really not so helpful. On the other hand, included in main competition is the new film by Hamaguchi Ryusuke. He's the director who did Drive My Car and won the Oscar for that 5 years ago. And I have gone on a bit of a cinema journey with him. The first films I watched from him, I really didn't like very much. And now I'm an absolute ardent fan. um, Not just because of Drive My Car, but one of the films that he put out the very same year, 2021, called Wheel of Fortune and Fantasy, three component films, almost three separate short films. And the middle section is one of the sexiest things I've ever seen in cinema. And there's adults with their clothes on. There's no sex taking part. But it's a female mature student taking on her older male professor or tutor, and turning his own words back against him. I nearly dropped my chips when I watched it. It was extraordinary cinema, and I had the chance to hang out with Ryusuke Hamaguchi shortly after watching that, and spent a lot of time discussing that and his most recent film, most previous film, called Evil Does Not Exist, which is a very obscure film, which he then turned into a piece of cinema without dialogue, and just had a musical accompaniment. which, interestingly enough, although it was a very arty movie, did play at Udine. So that's my take on Cannes so far. Early days yet, there will be more announcements to come.
What about India?
To me, this was the other part of my disappointment with what's been announced so far. The only films from Asia, as I said so far, the 7 films, I think 8 films announced so far. 5 from Japan, 2 from Korea, 1 from Nepal/Germany. Nothing from China, Hong Kong, Malaysia, Indonesia, Southeast
What do
Asia.
you think happened?
I don't know.
I mean, I don't want to second guess judges, and I don't want to
No,
second guess juries and selection committees. But what's your
well,
take?
they always get asked this kind of question.
Mm.
Why isn't my cinema represented? And their answer often is that we can only select from what's been put in front of us. And I think that's a absolutely perfectly fair answer. Maybe this wasn't the year, or maybe things weren't ready. Maybe things just didn't click with that selector, and will be picked up at the very next ones. Um, so if nobody selects any Indian films for the next 2 years in the major film festival, then there's a problem. But if it's only one, and that's just a blip, it's just a timing incident. But talking of timing, the other point that happens with this Cannes announcement and the ones that are going to happen in the next couple of days, is that Cannes is such a high point in the film festival year that all the other film festivals around it now can start to understand what they've got to play with. So my friend who was disappointed for main competition in Cannes can now repitch his film for Locarno or Venice or whatever. And other festivals will be thinking in the same way. So the Sydney Film Festival, which takes place in mid-June, they almost always have a section where they pick up some of the highlights from Cannes. Well, now they know what they are, so they can start to get those in play. Every festival does have its own taste, and their regulars and so on, and some of them have different quirks as well. I mean, Cannes is known for not selecting any films from Netflix, whereas Venice will. And the reason that Cannes doesn't do it is not actually strictly because they don't like them or don't want them, but the French law requires a holdback between theatrical release and TV and video release, which the Netflix won't accept in France.
The win of the week is a Korean film, and also Asian films win for the last 5 weeks. Netflix #1 top film globally has been an Asian film. And I think there was a 5-week run, and 6 weeks ago it was a Spanish film. This latest week is a Korean film called Human. And it just drove up that number of hours viewed for Asian films, like massively, like 65% around the world. It's action, spy thriller. I've watched some of Human. It is loads of action, and I will finish watching it. But it's just come out. It's literally just come out, like over the Easter weekend.
Of April, I think it was. Yeah. This is an example of a very short holdback. This film came out in Korean cinemas. I think it was February. It may be January, but probably February, correct. it didn't do particularly well. It's a very well-known director, big cast and big budget. Did not do particularly well in cinemas, definitely below expectations. But it's been as you say, move it to Netflix and everybody wants to see it. It's a
Well,
huge
it's
hit.
just a massive, massive hit. I have the number somewhere, but it's a huge hit in so many countries. And I know there's a lot of controversy over what Netflix's approach to theatrical, and I'm not really going to get involved in that. I'm just happy that they make it available to so many other people because it's never just one thing by itself, isn't it? It's people see one Korean film, they're much more open to another Korean film and another Asian film. Um, but also just taken together, all the Asian films that are doing so well on Netflix all around the world.
And you also had another highlight on the series front from Asia.
Oh, I do. And actually, this is a piece of really, really good news for Melvin Ang, who, as we all know, has had the most hideous years with his theatrical business. And now he has Agent from Above, which is,
Melvin
I,
Ang from M2 Asia, it should be said.
yeah,
For
sorry,
people who
yeah,
don't know.
sorry, Melvin Ang, MM2 Asia,
Yeah.
who has had to close his theaters, has to do, had all kinds of horrible luck on all of those. But it seems the year of the horse has been very kind to him. Or he's just done a great job on Agent from Above. We spoke to Chris Chan from Reno Studios last week. He did all the special effects. So he actually mentioned Agent from Above. It was number 6 on Netflix top 10 global non-English rankings. But it was only in 3 days. So in its first 3 days, it did that well. So the next week will be its first full week on Netflix. So I think it will rise well above number 6. So that's really good news for not only for Melbourne, it's good news for Taiwanese big budget drama.
Yeah. And I think Chris will be pleased as well because I think some of the reviews have been pretty positive about the look and the feel of the series as well.
Well, I think he will, and I think he's secretly absolutely delighted. But of course, as everyone as you know, when you've made something, you see every single flaw and you stop looking at it with new eyes. So he sees every single tiny little thing that he would have done differently. And if you speak to anyone who's done a project, they all say, "Oh, I would have done everything differently." So I'm listening with some bit of a sympathetic ear, but I think it's fantastic. And also, the thing would never get finished if everybody wanted everything to be perfect. So that was one great news. And then the other one, I don't know, I'm watching the microdrama space really, really carefully as is everybody. I think it's still the Wild West. I don't know that anybody has the answers that they think they have, that they put on decks. I think there's still a lot of learning, but people are still committed. And one of the big issues is distribution. How do you get all these millions of little of
Yeah.
shorts distributed? So this is the distribution deal. AIS Telco in Thailand has done a deal with Real Short, which is one of the top apps, and it's a distribution deal. But they're selling it for like $1, just slightly over $1, like 39, 36 or 39 baht a month in Thailand. I don't have insights into the financial decision making that went into this, but it seems to me that this is a sensible way to distribute microdrama volume. One app, telco buys one app, and then it's some kind of deal that Netflix has done, that's View's done, that's HBO Max has done, that Amazon Prime Prime Video has done. So you give it to the telco, and it's a bundle to drive take up of broadband. And I think this could be the
And the
model going
bundle that
forward.
drives and usage of microdramas. I mean,
Well,
if you're selling unlimited usage for $1 a month, they can hardly be making money from this particular package. But it's got to be seeding the future. Like just like you were saying a moment ago with Asian films, you watch one, you like it, you'll watch some more.
yeah. It's the first one for Real Short in Southeast Asia. I people will be watching it because of course no one wants to be first, but then once everyone goes, everyone else goes as well. In fact, there's a lot of bundling between apps. I think it was View and HBO that have paired up to bundle themselves. There's no question in my mind that there's a market for microdrama, and I think that we want to be snobby about the pacing and we want to be snobby about a lot of things. Okay, be snobby, but millions and millions of people are watching it.
Might also be worth mentioning that that deal that you just mentioned between AIS and Real Short involved Anne Chan, who was
Yes,
also one of our guests recently on this
it
podcast.
did. That's AR, and she's been incredibly innovative. There's a core group of people who are so committed to microdrama, and they do really do see an opportunity. Yeah, she's one of them. Timothy O is another one. So I
Yeah.
think this is real. That's why I'm watching it because there's been so much innovation. I don't say the AIS and Real Short Deal is innovative as such. It's following a model that's already been set with the premium apps. But AIS has taken the leap and they do want to see how this works. I don't know the terms of the deal. It could be 1 year, could be God knows. I don't know how they share revenue on $1, but it's one. It's definitely one to watch. I mean, what do you get like what 50 cents, and then it's not only 5G usage of that app. It's 5G usage of everything. So you get this 5G plan for $39.
Is that right? I thought this was an add-on to existing subscribers.
Well, I went and I asked, and I said, "Is the 5G only usable for the app?" And they said to me, "No, the 5G you can use that 5G allocation for anything."
Okay.
So maybe I've been given the wrong information, but I don't think so. I mean, well, it's what that was like the official line because I also thought it has to be just for the app is so cheap.
Sushi. Hmm.
I don't know. Anyway,
Well,
that's my those are my things. And the one other tiny little microdrama story, which I don't have a lot. There was Supermodel Me is being made as which is the very well known refinery media format, modeling format. It went on like every channel. It was on multiple channels, I think, including like AXN, NBC Universal, and now it's got a seventh life in as a microdrama by the COL group. So I think they've started shooting it. I don't know if anything's official. What
which
is it?
which which language version are they making?
I feel like this is in English. Am I wrong? Maybe it's Mandarin.
You're ahead of me on this one. My last thought from this week, which is a company, iQIYI, the Chinese long-form
Mm.
video streamer, which in the last year or so has plunged into microdramas as well. We've had news this week that iQIYI has got permission to open its fourth theme park. So they've gone into microdramas, which is even more digital than what they were doing before. And now they're going into location-based entertainment. I believe they have one theme park that is actually open and functioning now, and two more that are under construction. And this new one will be in Wuhan, central China. And they say they can build it and have it open in 2027. Only the Chinese can build a theme park in a year.
Well, I think it's a part of a bigger development, right?
Well,
I
we've
just
talked
a
about
whole big
we
lifestyle space.
not so much on this podcast, but I keep quite a close eye on the Disney theme parks in this region, of which there may be another one. I believe that Thailand is busily pushing to get one. Um, but we've mentioned theme parks in the last couple of weeks. In the case of Fantawild, which is
Mm.
the company behind the animation film series Boonie Bears, which we've mentioned many times. But their main business is actually in theme parks, not in animation production.
It's part of the whole movement towards experiences and like building IP out across what did they used to call it, the most famous, the most overused title, 360, the 360 experience. So I think it's all about the move towards IP and making sure that you use you squeeze every single last drop out of whatever IP you own. Oh, what we've forgotten to mention was that iQIYI has the price of jade. This was quite unusual to me because iQIYI has got this really premium drama, The Price of Jade, which everybody's addicted to. It's a 40 episode long running. Netflix, of course, not allowed in China, took this iQIYI drama and it's a hit in China as well, but have turned it into a global hit. It's on the global top 10. It's been on the global top 10 every week for 4 weeks.
Yep. And my wife is watching it, and she's been zooming through the episodes. Can't put it down.
I know it's one of those where you go, just one more, and then it's 5 o'clock in the morning and you're just one moreing, not really, I mean, knowing that you're ruining the rest of the week. I think that's it for me from this week. Do you have anything else? Was the Easter weekend particularly interesting?
Um, well, I've got box office details from a couple of territories, Hong Kong and mainland China, which basically went in different directions. Hong Kong had a very strong Easter weekend. It was actually double that of last year. And in China, it wasn't Easter, but almost exactly the same dates with the Qingming holiday, tomb sweeping holiday. And that was down about 13 or 14% on last year, despite a bunch of new films, but Hollywood films coming into Chinese cinema. That kind of continues the story that, Hollywood films are getting all the releases they want in China these days, but the audiences are not really lapping them up. So the next big moment, I think, in the Chinese box office will be May the 1st, which is a bigger public holiday, and more of the Chinese films will be saved up for that. Bring it back to film festival. One of the reasons that the Hong Kong Film Festival moves its date around, sometimes it's in March, sometimes it's in April, is because they always want to catch the Easter weekend, which in Hong Kong is a 4-day holiday, but the Friday and the Monday are public holidays. And the festival has its most lucrative days over Easter, so that they follow Easter religiously. Excuse the pun.
And that's it from us for today. Thank you very much for joining us. We'll be back with you next time with our conversation with Sabrina Baracetti from Udine.